Greetings, Team DPS. I am Dr. Alex Marrero, your proud superintendent here in Denver Public Schools, and thank you for joining us for another edition of the Marrero Moment. Today's conversation is a true special one, and I know I say that often, but I mean it this time. No disrespect to my other guests. Right? This is a very special edition because we have a very special guest. We're talking about leadership today, purpose, and what it truly means to become great, both on and off the field. If you haven't guessed it already, joining us today is former Denver Broncos All-Pro safety, a leader in our community and someone who has made a long impact lasting far beyond football. Very own Justin Simmons.
Wow.
Welcome.
What an intro.
You had a big intro because I know that you probably have not slept, because I know that you've been on the gridiron, All-Pro, you've been interviewed, but you made it here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, when I had the opportunity to come on the Dr. Marrero Moment, I was like, I got to cash in on this opportunity. Forget all the other things.
So I know this is a big deal, right? We all get there. Scholars, just know that even after an illustrious career, you keep grinding, you keep doing good for your community, you make it. You make it.
That's right.
In all seriousness, thank you. Thank you. I've had the pleasure to connect with you. Been a fan, but I've had the pleasure in my capacity to see what you're doing for the Denver community. And I'm excited about what we're going to do together. No, you, me, but your foundation and what you bring, and also our institution. We're really much aligned, and what we're going to do is going to be remarkable. So I'm beyond excited for that. So many of our students and their parents look up to you, not just for what you did on the field, but for how you carry yourself off of the field. For our students who are watching, and of course those parents, those fans like I am, can you take us back to your early years? Scholar Justin, share what shaped you into the person that you are today.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Growing up, you hear this saying over and over and over from older folks, like, it takes a village, it takes a village. And sitting here now, still young at 32, where I am today in my life is because of my village. And so and it all starts at home. My mother and my father were just unbelievable and how they parented me and raised me. And I grew up in that type of neighborhood where like all of your friends' parents were also your parents. Like that, like my mom and dad co-signed anything discipline wise that went on that they wanted to do. And that really worked for us and our family. And so I grew up with just tremendous respect and love and genuineness for my friends, for my neighbors, for my parents, for everyone around me. And they taught me what it was to value other people and other people's time, and what it means to give back. I'll never forget my dad raising me and constantly reminding me of like sphere of influence and what that means. And you don't have to be an NFL football player. You don't have to be a superintendent. You can be what a lot of people say is like a regular Joe, but that whatever circle that you're in, you directly have influence over those individuals more than anybody else in the world. And I think that's really powerful. And so that's kind of how I grew up. That's the foundation that was kind of laid. I have two younger brothers, so I tried to model that well for them. And I'm just really thankful for that village of people that really helped me out.
Yeah, we're grateful for that village as well. So you spoke about discipline, preparation, but I also heard mindset in there, right? Before the NFL was a reality for you, what was becoming great for young Justin?
Giving back. That was the number one thing. Like I said, my dad, he grew up in Paterson, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. Familiar with it.
Yeah.
Oh,
not.
He made it out.
He made it out. He made it out. Yeah, by the grace of God, he made it out. He was he grew up with a certain lifestyle. And being his oldest, he made sure that he had three boys, but being the oldest, he's like, I'm going to make sure that I set you straight because we're not going to follow my lead. And so I was very thankful for him. So he always pulled me off to the side and was very, very, very direct about and intentional about how I was going to be raised and how I was going to be how I was going to treat other people, how other people's time is more important. And don't take that lightly. And there's all these things that are flooding back in my memory about what he would tell me. But the biggest thing was giving back. And I remember I'd have a high school football game on Friday, and he'd wake me up in the morning and go out and coach Pop Warner with him, because it was important for me. It was important for him for me to be out there and to coach these kids that were watching me last night, the night before on Friday, and watching me make big plays. And so that's kind of all that I remember growing up. And it starts way before then, but just for a lot of kids on camera that can probably relate to, they go to high school games and they get to watch this guy, and then they're playing little league football and things in that nature. So giving back was the number one important thing as a kid.
Wow. Papa Simmons, way to go. Way to go. And I know that you had the support that you just mentioned, but we all encounter challenges.
Yeah.
Can you think back on how you navigated some challenges or setbacks? Can you share a moment in where something didn't go your way? How did it shape your growth?
Yeah, I have two really big moments. One was in high school again. I was a pretty good athlete in South Florida, and transitioning to high school, I was one of those kids that was like, I'm so focused on trying to make it to the NFL that everything else is to the wayside, including school. So my first year, I put myself in jeopardy for playing my sophomore year because my grades just weren't holding up. And it's not because I wasn't smart enough. I just wasn't applying myself because I wasn't as worried. I'm like, I don't have to do this because I'm going to make it. I don't have to do this because I'm going to make it. I remember telling my teachers that. And everyone knows this, but you really don't know it until you experience it. You can't play unless you have the grades. Yeah, you're not eligible to do it, right? And I've heard that. I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but if you're a good enough player, they'll find a way to make you play, right? And no, that was not the case. And so I had to do a year of summer school. That hurt. And I realized that I really got to take this serious, and took it serious enough where I was able to earn a full scholarship to go to Boston College, which was the biggest blessing of my life. And the second biggest obstacle to overcome at that time in my life was also balancing. Now I know school is important. I have to uphold a certain GPA in order to play. And Boston College is not a easy institution to graduate from.
No.
And so I went in there, and I'm trying to balance my social life, football, academics, and all these things are just, they're bouncing around, and I really had to focus on time management and what that looked like. And there's so many things that I learned at BC, but I was struggling at first again. And this time it wasn't because lack of application to my studies. It was just because I'm figuring out my new. I'm living on my own. I traveled from South Florida to the tundra of Boston, and I just couldn't wrap my mind around all these. I have to navigate going from my dorm room to study hall, and that was really tough for me my first couple of years, because I wanted to do so well in school because I knew how important it was, but I also wanted to excel in my sport, and it took me a while to be able to do that. The end of that story is the village again. I had people pouring into me. I confided in people, and that like close friends still to this day, and they're really the ones that help pull me out and stay by my side, hold my hand through really rough times. But you're going to have tough times, and the biggest thing is put your head down and keep grinding and look up when it's over.
Yeah, that village, I know, in the Jesuit learning environment, wouldn't afford them. I know exactly what that's like. So clearly, education plays a huge role in long-term success, as we've seen. Whether it's sports or any career, how did your education influence your education? How did your education influence your journey? And why is it important for student athletes to prioritize learning?
Yeah. Well, just as I mentioned earlier, in high school, like I was at jeopardy from not playing my sport. And let's say I was able to play my sport and something happened. But let's say I was able to play my sport and grades were like, you didn't have to uphold a certain GPA, and something happened. I did something to my leg. I did something to my arm, I did something to my head, and I was unable to be able to play my sport anymore. Well, then where would that leave me? If I don't have a degree, if I didn't have a degree, if I wasn't applying myself, and all these things that happen, you hear all these you hear all these stories from athletes that like, I was so focused on this and it got taken away from me. And now all of a sudden, what am I? And you're fighting, you go back and you hear great stories. They go back and they do get their degrees and things of that nature. But for me, those are the things that I thought of once I was staring it in the face my freshman year of high school of like, oh, school is important if I want to be able to pursue my dreams. And so the reason why I went to Boston College was not because it was the first school or the first opportunity I had. I had a couple other schools, universities that offered a full ride, but Boston College was by far the best academic school. Yeah. And so if football didn't work out, I knew that I was going to leave there with a great degree and a great network of alumni in order to set myself up and my family up for success in a different light than being an NFL player. And so really education for me and applying myself was everything. And sometimes, there may be students right now that are walking through, that battle. And sometimes it takes learned experiences to be able to overcome those things. But I'm telling you firsthand, from someone that did experience that, like, education is by far the best. They opened way more doors than football did. I'll put it like that.
The best investment.
Yeah.
The best investment.
Put it like that.
So you're well traveled, right? You just mentioned Boston, Florida. Someone tells me that you were in Atlanta for a little bit.
Yep.
Right. But you've been here, Denver, for a while, and you've chosen this place as home, and you're giving back so regularly and deeply connected to the community. Can you tell us why Denver and why is it important to give back here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. Denver has become my family's home. This is now 10 years, and we've built just a strong bond and connection to the city of Denver. We've met amazing people, amazing philanthropists. Yeah. You're the first one I was going to mention. And it's just been, for us, man, my family and I, we just walk in humbleness and gratitude of just what doors open when you faithfully serve. And we've just met just unbelievable people, really is what it is. And I've seen the heart of people that in Denver that want to give back. I'm thankful for those that recognize our family's work with our foundation and things like that, but we're only in existence because of the hands and feet of other people and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And that really motivates our family to want to leave a legacy bigger than anything that's on the field. And so why Denver? Because the city has invested into us with football, and it's just been such a blessing to be able to pour back into them. And I've seen the benefits of pouring into communities that were familiar to me when I was growing up. And I'm a living, walking, breathing testament to, if you just invest into kids, you can get the best out of them.
Yeah. I can't wait to read to some of our scholars and try to ignite that passion. We're going to do that shortly.
That's right.
In our collaboration. So scholars, just know that we're coming to you to make sure that you understand that what Justin is capturing is not only his lived experience, it's the reality. Education saves so many lives. It's the bedrock, the foundation of every profession that you can imagine. And hopefully we could ignite that passion and love for reading. So more to come on that. I want to say, Justin, you recently announced your retirement. Mm-hmm. This is one of the first engagements. No better place to engage.
I told you, Marrero Moment. Baby.
Marrero Moment. I know that was a difficult decision.
Yeah.
So what ultimately told you that it was time, and what does this next chapter of Justin Simmons look like?
Going into this, I always told my wife, like, I want to play 10 years, ended up playing 9, but we signed a one-day retirement 10 years to the day when we retired with Denver, which was really cool. I always told her, it was like, I only want to play 10 years. I want to walk away from the game on my terms. And I'm bigger than a football player. And I want to step into our next calling and really elevating and giving back to our community at a whole nother level than we have been doing. Remember telling her those things. And so why did we step away? Last year, when we were sitting on the couch, when I was sitting on the couch and I was watching NFL football games, still training to be able to go play, I was sitting there and I was gaining, I felt like, lost time with my family from the previous 9 years of playing football. And even with my wife, we were married 2 years, then we had our kids, and my oldest is 7 now, about to turn 8. And man, just the time that I felt like I gained and just 5 weeks into the season, I was like, I'm not ready to give this up for a helmet for another year or two, just to keep, chasing my dreams, when I'm pretty proud of what we've accomplished. And so that to me was the telltale sign of saying it's time to give it up. And I felt like that was the best recognition I can get. I went to recitals, I went to basketball practices, I got to go to some games, and I couldn't have been prouder of our decision of stepping away, and it was the right decision. And so now moving forward, we're going to be able to be more hands-on with our community work, more intentional about it, and we're really looking forward to doing things like that.
It takes a lot of discipline and courage. And I'm sure that out of all those touchdowns and all those plays, that probably was the most courageous and bold move that you did for you and yours. So,
and that's why I started by saying, I don't know if it's cliche to say education, because really I was comfortable stepping away also because I know I'm stepping into what was my backup plan, and now it's going to be plan A, where I do have a degree from Boston College, and I'm going to be stepping into that, and I'm going to be able to use that hopefully to continue to be helping the Denver community. And I felt way more confident stepping into that than I did if I would have left like 2 years into to school. And now I'm 9 years in the league, and I'm like, well, I don't want to go back to school now and get my degree. And it just felt like an easier decision.
You invested in yourself.
Yeah.
Here in DPS, we're investing in our scholars in every which way that you can imagine. And we really talk a lot about preparing students, not just academically, but for life. You're a prime example of that. Question: what are the key habits or values you believe young people need to develop if they want to reach their full potential?
That's a really good question. I think first thing that popped into my mind was humbleness. Like, don't walk into the room acting like you're the smartest, you have it all figured out. And then the second thing is to be open-minded to hearing thoughts, perspectives, getting a different point of view. I think, and the last thing is to be coachable. I think those three things, to walk in humbleness, to be open-minded, and to be coachable, to me, has always served me well. And I did not used to be that way. And I'm thankful for my village that helped pour into me and help just kind of reiterate how these things can be important. And you never know whose hand you're shaking. You never know what first impression you're going to give. And I think when you walk in those three traits, it feels like it'll always lead you to the right doors. And especially the coachable part. And everyone hears coachable and they automatically put that term with sports. Right. But I just mean even like be respectful to your teachers, be respectful to your peers, be respectful to classmates and things in that nature. And again, you never know whose hands you're shaking. You never know what a hello will do for somebody. I think those things are really important. And so that's kind of the route. At least those three traits have served me well, have really helped me in my life. And those are something that I would offer to some of our listeners.
Yeah, that speaks to impact. The way you show up, the hands you're shaking. You've been intentional about using your platform, your presence for impact. How do you think athletes and public figures can responsibly influence and uplift our young people?
Yeah, honestly, back when I was younger, I felt like, and that's grown with social media, but back when I was younger, I felt like that hasn't happened as much. I don't remember looking on TV and looking up to someone because of what they're doing in the community or what they were saying outside of the basketball court or the football field. I just loved the person for who they were and what they did for the sport. Now,
it's changing now with social media.
Now that social media, and you get these guys, their podcasts, right? And they're doing what we're doing after a game. And I think that's really powerful, and I think that's really cool. There's pros and cons for a lot of things, but now you have athletes that are out there, and they can talk about what they're passionate about and see, because that gives a new perspective for our younger generation of saying, wow, I didn't know that the player that I looked up to, he had this foundation and he goes faithfully every Tuesday to be able to pour into these kids. Or, man, I didn't know he was like I knew he was a father, but I didn't know he really like was that invested into, you know, his kids' lives, even in the midst of whatever. So I think athletes hold today a bigger responsibility, and you can choose to do with your platform with what you will. But I think there's a bigger responsibility for us as athletes in today's world to be able to set an example of those that you would want for your kids, or that was modeled for you, that helped you get to where you are. And because no matter what anyone's going to say, you never get to where you are successfully without help, like the village I keep talking about. And I think that's really important for you know, this younger generation of kids and students to recognize that you're going to have to ask for help along the way. And I think it's our responsibility as whatever it is, influencers, adults, especially those that are in the sports world that have eyes on them. I think it's our responsibility to give back in that way.
So we've spoken about partnerships and impact. And out of all the organizations, we're very grateful that you're partnering with the Denver Public Schools Foundation. Can you speak to why that foundation, also the work that you're doing with our scholars?
Yeah, we've been so fortunate throughout our career, and really the existence of the Justin Simmons Foundation, to partner with multiple nonprofits and foundations and organizations. And, you know, one of the biggest reasons why, and we touched on that, was why Denver Public Schools. Well, one, I'm a public school kid. And two, throughout my time being with the Denver Broncos and the community outreach that we did, I was fortunate enough to see the different fields that you guys try to provide for the community. And it really moved my heart. A lot of why we made our foundation aligns with what you guys are doing. And, you know, I sent the email, wanted to be able to connect and go over, when we were able to meet, just go over like all the things you guys are doing, the big projects, you know, the medium projects and the smaller projects that we have kind of known about. And, you know, what really moved our heart was, and one of the things that we're partnering in with is the community hubs, and being able to go see that. I think, again, we all live in a certain bubble. Mm-hmm. And, you know, my family and I, we live out in Castle Rock, and our kids go to school in Highlands Ranch. And, you know, there's a certain bubble that you live in when you're out that way. And so to be exposed to something like the community hubs was just so eye-opening for my family and I. You know, we brought our little son, and we're going to come back and bring our daughters. And I just want you to know, like, the next time you're complaining about something that mom made for dinner, you know, I want you to know that there's some families that have to come through, and they have to get food here, and and there is no bigger options than that. And sometimes that's a tough conversation to hear. And it doesn't mean anyone is above or less than or anything like that. It's just the struggle of what life looks like. And that's just a small glimpse of what you guys provide. And like you said before, we need partners, we need the funds, we need to be able to keep expanding this and growing this and elevating this experience for our families and for our kids. And that's why, and that's just a small piece to the pie. That's why we want to partner with Denver Public Schools, and part of our mission. And so, yeah, we're going to continue to keep doing outreaches like that, and you know, pull people along to see what's going on in our communities. And I think it's really important. So it really moved our hearts.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that your foundation is collaborating with the Denver Public Schools Foundation, because those community hubs that you visited, and thank you for visiting, they have been a lifeline, no exaggeration, and also no pun, leveling the playing field of the disparity that exists outside of the school day. Mm-hmm. Have absolute faith in the education system that we have. Our teachers do remarkable work, bell to bell. But I know what happens sometimes when you don't have those means and those resources, or worse, you know, things that you have to avoid outside of school. You can get in a whole lot of trouble, and we're trying to level the playing field in so many ways, addressing food insecurity, finances, but also enriching our scholars. So I'm happy that you were able to visit. I'm thrilled to hear that you brought your family, because sometimes you got to put it in perspective. You do, right? You do. Count your blessings and be grateful, but give back. Mm-hmm. When you think about your journey, Justin, and everything that's ahead, young man, right? Have one career behind you, embarking on another. What do you hope young people in Denver take away from your story?
I think the number one thing is exactly what you just said. That I can be this, or shoot, even better than this, right? Like a lot of times people look up to athletes and they're saying, man, I want to do exactly what he's doing, from the on-field perspective. And I'm hoping people take away from hearing a little bit my story or seeing the community work or getting a chance to interact and meet some of you guys is like, man, he really believes that I can be something bigger than what I think I can be. And you can. I had dreams and aspirations, don't get me wrong, of being an NFL athlete for as long as I can remember as a little kid. But the area that I'm from, you just don't see that. That's not modeled. Where I'm from, it, like most kids, it felt like you go off to college and then they're back within 2 years, and it's the same pool of people. You get caught up in the same mundane routines, and it felt like a town that people just never leave from. And some people do come back strategically, but all I'm trying to say is that was never modeled for me. I kind of had to step into something new and uncomfortable. And I'm so thankful. And it was because I was pushed by all the right people in my life, coaches, some teammates, parents, friends' parents, like I was talking about. And I know how important it is to be invested into, because when times got hard, and they will get hard, I had someone pick me up, like we talked about, out of the pit. And that's what our younger generation needs. So I would like for them to look at me as the example of, I can do that because he did it. And I was from a middle-class family. I didn't come from the projects or the poor, but I did have a dad that did. And he told me everything that I needed to know that would help make me successful. And that's coming from someone that started from the bottom, made a middle-class family, right? And did really well for himself. And then now his son is, maybe a step above that in terms of the financial aspect, but still have the mindset of like, where did I come from? How did it happen? And be able to give back. So I want those kids to know that they can do that.
And I know that they will, without a doubt. Once they get to engage with you, not only your story, I want to thank you for sharing your story. I'm looking forward to seeing the impact that you're going to have on the Denver community. It's going to be remarkable, and I mean that genuinely. Truly appreciate your leadership and the example that you're setting for everyone. And thank you to our entire DPS community for tuning in. Conversations like these remind us that greatness is not just about talent. Of course, it can be, but it's also about character, it's about commitment, it's about giving back. And you can subscribe to all DPS content, including the Marrero Moment, by searching for the Denver Public Schools podcast. We'll see you next time. Join me with doing my salute.
No, that's the Mile High Salute.
Is it? That's a Marrero salute around here.